Hi everyone, it's Elaine Hamilton from the Reiki Center, and in this discussion, we are talking about the empathic shift that I feel is happening, and also what are some of the things that you can do to join the movement. And essentially, it's a look at us as empaths. I think most people that are watching me are empathic, and maybe having a reflective walk down memory lane for yourself as to why you became empathic, where you think some of the things have come from. And it's like highlighting what are some of the things that you've been doing in the past because you're empathic, and how that needs to shift in order for us to become more self-empowered. So it's almost like the question of, okay, so we have all this empathy and there are good points and bad points. It's made us very good therapists and carers and very good people and able to go out and be sympathetic and help other people. But the downside is that it often means we get drained, or we become ill ourselves, or we start to push people and events away because it becomes too overwhelming for our own nervous system, for our own well-being, mental health. So first of all, if you think about why you became empathic, it was most likely because you were trying, and this would have started very young, right? As a child, you were trying to take on the role of managing the environment. So whether that was you noticing that the parental figures were not very good at emotional regulation, or whether the environment of your household was such that there was a lot of drama and there was a lot of imbalance in the energy system, whether it was the relationship of your parents, their relationship with themselves being quite suppressed, perhaps, quite controlling, or whether it was just the way that the dynamics of the family played out. Or if you had a very healthy family upbringing, then you might have developed empathy as you went into the school system and you found your place within the school system, and you found that people pleasing and helping to balance the environment was a job that you were quite natural at, because you had a natural ability or sensitivity to when the environment, the energy, the emotional, in particular, the emotional energy was out of balance, right? So you could then come in, you could help to balance, you could help harmonize the space, and you notice that when people talk to you, you could take on some of their suffering, they felt better, they felt grateful, and perhaps then you started to think, oh, this is my role. This is what I'm good at, and I can help alleviate other people's pain. I can help the environment feel better, and then I feel better. I feel I've helped this person, so I feel better. I feel the environment is calmer, so I feel better. So then everything starts to be kind of like you're out looking at the environment for your internal balance. And this happens to a lot of us. And then we start to become people pleasers. We start to go into relationships that are not particularly balanced. We start taking on caregiving roles over and above. We start being that person that people come to. And for many of us, we then turn into healers and therapists and yada, yada. You know the drill, right? And part of the empowerment, the self-empowerment movement, is to start to bring back that authorizing principle so that you end up becoming much more centered and calm in yourself. You don't have to go out rescuing people all the time. You're more able to say no. And this is all part of the empath's recovery journey, if you like, or the people pleasers recovery journey into a more whole human being. You certainly don't reject your gifts, because your gifts of caring, your gifts of being able to read the environment, these kinds of things are amazing that you have this, but it's the balance. So the shift that I'm talking about really is that this whole premise is quite reactive. So your empathy antenna doesn't really trigger when there's peace, because when there's peace, you're just enjoying the peace. So it really only triggers when there's drama or there's people in your life that are starting to create an imbalance in the system, whether it's their own inability to regulate, or there's a dysfunction in the family, or there's an argument, or there's some kind of relationship issue. So your main focus as an empath or recovering empath, or maybe you think you're quite a balanced empath, you will tend to, however, focus on the more negative environments to go in and be empathic, right? So that's kind of when you're like, oh, that's my job. I'm going to go in now. Even though you might have very good boundaries in place, there is still a tendency to be reactive rather than proactive. So the shift that I'm now starting to encourage in people is that proactive shift in terms of what is the vibration that I want to see more of in myself, in my environment, in the people around me, on the planet. Like, what is it that I stand for, rather than the reactive, which is, oh, that doesn't feel like right. It's out of balance. So let me come in and fix it. So if we stop trying to fix things when they're broken and we start trying to hold vibration of what we stand for, then there's a whole different kind of strength that our empathy can be put into use, right? So what that feels like is really taking our gift. So an empath's gift is, even if it's unconscious and you don't realize this, you have a gift of being able to manipulate and shift energy, right? Because if you can come into a situation and you can help someone feel better by taking that negative emotion out of them, or hearing them, or holding space for them, or whatever it is, what you're doing is you are shifting energy. You're shifting the energy and the tone of the environment. Now, this is something that you may not have really thought about in great depth before, but I really encourage you to see that it is such a powerful way that you can really help people, right? Because it's one of those things whereby what's happening is you are like a kind of energy shifter. So if that is your strength, whether or not you notice it or not, it means that you can truly hold the space and really like transmit that energetic vibration, whatever your choice is, out into your environment equally easily to how you naturally and unconsciously take negativity from the environment. It's the same thing. It's the same mechanism. It's simply a different focus. So rather than focusing on the person or the negativity that you're trying to redress, your focus becomes an inward focused, what am I emulating? What is it that I am holding space for? And super simple examples of this is really, well, start off with deciding and choosing your vibrational frequency. And that again is something that should come naturally to you. So there's no point faking it. You can't fake energy. You can kind of like, and that takes a lot of energy to fake energy. So find your natural frequency, right? And that's what you're working on. So if your natural frequency is a certain loving kindness or compassion or patience, then that is what you're really focused on. Like, what is it that I feel I can naturally bring to this situation? Even if it's a peaceful, calming influence, great. It doesn't matter what it is, but obviously it's going to be something that helps to harmonize and build and contribute to the environment in a positive way. So once you're quite clear on what that energy is, and even if it's like optimism or creativity, or, it doesn't matter. It's like, what is the value that you naturally bring into a space? What is your natural vibrational frequency? And as an empath, you are going to have one. And for some of us, it might not be very clear, but this is kind of what the shift is engaging us to identify in ourselves. And let's say that you start to notice that your natural frequency is bringing in a kindness or a loving kind of holding of the space, maybe a non-judgmental holding of the space. And then that's simply your job as an empath, is to shift the energy around you. And that does not mean you have to literally do anything. Doesn't mean you have to take other people's trash anymore. You can simply vibrate it out. So rather than being the trash can, where everybody dumps on you, you shift that around and you show them what a nice clean bin looks like. So this is what it looks like when you're in harmony, right? This is what it looks like when you're patient. This is what it looks like when you're vibrating at a loving, peaceful, compassionate, energetic frequency. And if you keep pushing that out, not in an aggressive way, you're just pushing that out, but you're pushing it outwards instead of sucking all that crap inwards, then this will be a very powerful shift, not only for you, but for the person that you are holding space for. Because what they're going to learn pretty quickly is that you are no longer the trash can. They can no longer dump their crap on you, but they need to figure out how to empty their bin because you've given them a very clean and clear example of what that looks like. Right. So in the simplest of terms, it means when you're looking at the news or you're looking at stuff that has quite a negative connotation, you are holding a vibration, not diving into the despair and the doom and the negativity, but you're holding that vibration by looking at the places whereby good things are happening. Where are the activist groups that you agree with? Where are the voices that you agree with? Who is broadcasting on social media or media the kind of voices, not angry and not aggressive, but just that very natural, this is the outpouring, this is some of the things that you can do. And there's more and more of these groups popping up. So going and find them, aligning yourself with the positivity, aligning yourself with people who are really doing a lot of good on the planet, or who are broadcasting this very positive, compassionate message. And you join with them and you make sure that your frequency is flowing out like that, right? So joining proactive conversations and groups, and then simple things like, what are you spending your money on? Like, are you spending your money on products and services that you believe in? Are you actually backing that in terms of that your life is an example of this higher vibrational frequency that you want to see more of? And then when people are talking to you, so when your friends and family who would normally dump their stuff on you are talking to you and they're trying to dump their stuff, what you're doing is you're not getting involved in their negativity. You are looking for the vibrations in them that match you. And they'll be there because even when people are struggling and when people are in a lot of negativity, you will be able to find that part of them that is, it's my alarm, that part of them that is resilient, that is courageous, that is able to get up in the morning and go through their hardship. And that is the vibrational frequency that you're hooking into and you're highlighting for them, right? So if they're doom and gloom and this is awful and that's awful, without getting sucked into the positive, like toxic positivity, which just sounds really fake, you're really honing in on that sounds really hard and you're so courageous, right? That sounds really hard and I fully support you. Like how can I show my support for you, right? And when you do that and when you come from a very high vibration, you've got this, I believe in you. This is amazing. You're so courageous, you're so strong, you're so capable. That keeps you on the vibration and you shift the space in a very, very different way, right? So that you don't have to then do a deep dive into what they're experiencing and experience it all with them and get into all the negativity. You just stay away from that now. Your shift is towards what do you want to see without you having to fix it. You're just holding that space. This is what I want. And you single-mindedly hold that space. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, okay? I'm just saying this is the shift we're going towards. So it's these little things that you could start doing. And obviously, the number one thing you need to start doing is holding that vibration within yourself, right? So where are the little areas in your body that tend towards negativity? Where are the pieces in you that are still needing healing, that are still needing tending to self-care, right? Like if you're still reaching out into the environment because you need everything in the environment to be okay so that you're okay, that means something in you is not okay, right? Otherwise, who cares what the environment's doing? So a lot of this shift is also about, are you ready? Like, are you at the point where your vibrational frequency is really solid to help hold it for the rest of the planet, right? So a couple of tips, couple of things to think about, and yeah, hopefully this is a place that we're going to start moving to more en masse as an empathic community, and something hopefully that resonates with some of you. Do drop me a note. Let me know whether this makes sense to you, and whether it's something that you've noticed for yourself, that this is a kind of movement that is starting to happen within you, where you are holding space differently as an empath. Because I think for many of us, we're already noticing this movement. And then for others of us, it's just that little highlight of attention. It's like, oh, yeah, if I'm dropping into the negativity, then I'm joining the negativity. So if I'm sitting there saying, I want everything to be more positive, why is the world so awful? And then you're sitting in the awfulness every day complaining, then you're also joining that, right? So it's really important that we start to put our actions and, most importantly, our vibrational frequencies of action. It's like, what is coming out of us? Because the energy speaks first, right? So it's like the energy goes, the energy flows, and that's how the movements and the actions and the changes happen through that flow. So what flow are you in? Right? Are you in the negative flow, trying to get angry with people who are also negative? Or are you in the positive flow and holding steady there? Hold steady there. People will join you. If you can hold steady, if you're holding the light, people are going to get attracted to that, right? Because you're showing them this is what a clean bin looks like. You don't have to pour your trash into me, and you can also get rid of your own trash, right? Nobody needs to have trash. So okay, that's all from me for today, and I will definitely be talking more about this because I feel that it is a very kind of important momentum that is now starting to come in for the second half of this quite interesting year, right? 2025. It's a bit crazy. But anyway, until next time, thanks so much for listening and watching.